Yo, coming with another episode of Diary of a Hebrew Girl. In today's episode, I will be discussing Married at First Sight, Season 9. Now, I'm not going to discuss the entire show, but I am going to be discussing one couple in particular. I'm going to be discussing my favorite couple, which is Iris and Kenneth. I'm going to discuss the different aspects of their relationship, the different perspectives of like the parents, and how the parents' perspective kind of weighed in on their, how they felt about each other in a sense, and just give my opinion about the whole entire relationship and just the way that they're dynamic in a sense. I'm going to also break down my thinking while watching the show, what I learned from it. And as you know, this is a confessions. So I am going to just confess a couple things as well. So just stay tuned and I'll be right back. So we're going to first dive into the bride, Iris. Now, me personally, I'm like a fangirl of Iris. I really liked her. I just thought she was the embodiment of a beautiful African American, quote unquote, woman, a Hebrew woman. She was just the essence of that. She was a virgin, which was kind of like their storyline in a sense. She was a virgin, but I really liked Iris like a lot. The first thing I wanted to dive into was her personality. Now, I just boasted on how much I liked her, but her personality was really pure. You could tell she was a good person. You could tell she was caring. She was genuine. She did have a little sassy side where like small things would make her upset, and I noticed that, but I feel like that was a part of just not really being in relationships like that, where you realize like don't sweat the small stuff, don't argue and fight over small things. So when you're in a relationship for an extended amount of time, you know that you begin to learn that like, okay, I'm not about to fight about this because there's other stuff that we could be worried about. But she didn't understand that aspect of it because she was 27-year-old virgin, so she wasn't in a lot of relationships, so she didn't know that. But other than that, I feel like she was awesome. She was funny. She was cute. She had a good upbringing. You could tell both of her parents really loved her. Like I said, she cared about, I don't know if I said this, but she cared about him. She cared about his well-being. She cared about, him being a good man. She appreciated him. She wanted to be that wife that he wanted, and she wanted to be a good wife. She felt like her virginity was a gift to her husband, which it is 100%. I do agree on that. Like, definitely your virginity is a gift, and some people don't have that gift to give, and she did. And I do feel like certain men would appreciate that, certain men wouldn't. Certain men would think it's a problem. Certain men would be like, wow, this is the best gift I could receive. I feel like a kingdom man, a man, who is blessed by Yahweh, he would see the gift of virginity and see that that is a gem that Yahweh saved for him. And I feel like that was kind of missed, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. So yeah, so her personality, I would say, like I said earlier, she's bubbly, she's cute, she's funny, she's pure. She hasn't allowed the sex demons to basically interrupt her spirit, interrupt her happiness, interrupt, her life. And a lot of times we allow that, but I'll go into that a little bit further later on. So the mother of the bride, I want to speak on, because you have to think about the parents of a 27-year-old virgin. What kind of parents did they have? You have to have a good background, a good upbringing to be able to preserve your virginity for 27 years. So I first look at the mom. She was just so sweet, so pure. You can tell that's where Iris gets her personality from, is her mother. She was or her father as well too. I can say that as well. Her mother was just so excited for her to be a part of the process, for her to be able to experience being a wife and hopefully lose her virginity, but the right way. You could tell she was very proud of her daughter in that sense, and knew that, she raised her right, and she knew that she would be able to handle whatever came with being a wife and being a virgin. She knew whatever came with it, she could handle it, and she knew she prepared her for whatever outcome actually came about. So I think her mother was amazing. There's a lot of moments where she brought me to tears, and I've just been super emotional this week. But she did bring me to tears with just the beautiful things she was saying about her daughter and about the groom as well. So I really liked the mother a lot. The father, I want to talk about his reaction more or less than his personality, because the show didn't really dig deep into his personality like that, because he was more or less like a just kind of a extra on the show. But his reaction to her getting married and him seeing her with the groom and her just being given away to the groom, he boohoo cried. Boohoo cried. And I want to give that a moment of just understanding. He boohoo cried. That made me feel something. The father who preserved his daughter's virginity for 27 years, he said he had a blanket over her for 27 years, had to watch his daughter go to a man that he never met before and she never met. They don't know this man. They don't know this man's family, and she's going to be living with him, and basically this could be the man that she's going to give her virginity to. As a father, you could tell that really scared him, and it made him feel a certain type of way, and that was projected very well through his tears. And it was amazing to see a vulnerable black man on television crying about his daughter's virginity. That was so beautiful. It touched my heart in a way that I couldn't even really grasp at the moment. Just to see that. Me personally, my father isn't in my life like that, so I know him. I have some sort of relationship with him, but to see a father cry over his daughter and losing his daughter, and the possibility of her losing her virginity, that was amazing to me, to see a black father do that. So now, one thing I wanted to discuss, and I feel like is so important, and is something that the show really highlighted well, in my opinion, is the issue that her and the groom had in their intimacy. Now, in order for me to dive into that, I'm going to wait a second. I'm going to discuss the groom and his personality and his family. Then I'm going to discuss their intimacy together once you get the bigger picture. So basically, with the groom, he to me was an amazing, quote unquote African American man, quote unquote Hebrew man as well. I feel like he was a very patient, a very kind man. I feel like his parents raised him well, and they tried to instill in him the things that they believed that he needed in order to be that good man that I feel like he was, just by watching it, being a bystander. I feel like he was a good man. I think what his issue was is he did not have the tools to deal with her virginity. He probably never met a 27-year-old virgin before. He probably never imagined in his wildest dreams that his wife would be a virgin. So when it was introduced to him, he was in, I think, a cultural shock. And people like cultural whatever, because in our culture, we don't have 27-year-old virgins. Let's just be real. Sometimes we do. You might meet one here and there, but it's very rare in today's society, 27-year-old virgins. And so he had a cultural shock. He had a shock to his core beliefs and his core value. I feel like as a man, he wants a wife, but he also wants someone who's sexually experienced, because he feels like he's too old to teach her how to please him in a sexual manner. Even though when you start a new relationship in general and you start a sexual relationship, you have to teach the next person, how to, make you feel good. But I feel like with him, he felt like he didn't have the emotional capability to really protect her and to do right by her with her virginity, and it was too much pressure for him, and I understood that. His mother was an interesting character. I liked his mother. I liked his father a lot. I feel like their relationship was very beautiful. The little glimpse that we were able to see, I think it was very beautiful. I think that they taught him well. I just think, as for him, it was a cultural shock for them. They didn't know how to react to a 27-year-old virgin, because they never seen it before. With Iris and her family, that's the way that they raised her. That was her culture. But for Keith and his family, they did not know that. I'm sure that, he was a quote-unquote God-fearing man, Yahweh for me, but, some people say God. He was a quote-unquote God-fearing man, I'm sure, but it's still a cultural thing. In America, even though you might be quote-unquote Christian, like people say, you're still fornicating. Let's just be real. Let's just be real. Like, let's not lie. Everybody know the truth. You're still fornicating. Even, you can be in the walk, or you can know your heritage and know who you are and still fornicate, because people sin and people don't understand the severity of fornication, of sexual sin, me included. And I'm going to talk about that more, but it's a cultural thing for us. And so the parents feel the same way. They don't understand, like, wow, for them it was like finding a penny, and not a penny, that's not good. Finding like a bar of gold in manure. Like, they're not looking for that. So that's basically what it was. And so they were really, I guess, bamboozled, and not bamboozled, but they were like culture shocked. It made me laugh, because it shouldn't be like that. Like, and I'm a part of it too, so I'm not judging nobody at all. But it should not be like that. Why is it that we are cultural shocked when we see virgins? Why is it that we're cultural shocked when we see people doing the right thing? Like, that's wild to me. But anyway, so that was the groom's family and their reaction to the bride's virginity. Now, I named this white, white, white dress because that was one of the things that the bride said in the beginning of the episode. Like, she was basically like, yeah, I want to get a dress that's so white that it makes everyone know that I am a virgin. That touched me. And that made me feel away. And it made me be jealous in a sense. And I'm not a real jealous person, but I was jealous because I understood the importance of virginity in that moment. Growing up, nobody really taught me. Well, they taught me, your virginity is important, and they taught me to wait until you're married, but they didn't really teach me the spiritual aspects of it, I guess, because as a child, I was a very spiritual child as well. Like I am today, I was pretty much the same, and I've always had the same mind. I could say I've never really been like a child in a sense. I don't know. Like, I've always had the same kind of mindset my whole entire life. So I needed to be explained in a way that would have really solidified the truth about, sex and sexual sin and all of that. And I wasn't explained in that way. So I didn't truly understand, like, the severity of it. I didn't understand each sexual partner you have, you're transferring spirits, whether they're good or bad. That's why when you're in a relationship with people and, you become attached to this person, you have sex with this person one time, and now you feel like they owe you something. You feel like they have to answer your phone calls, they have to text you back, because you've given them something that was very special and very dear. And the more people you do that to, the more numb you become to sex and to the spirits that's being transferred, and the more actual crazy you actually become. And I'm not judging anybody, because this is coming from personal experience. So I'm not pointing out a person and dissecting their life. I'm speaking on my own life. I've had that where, I was numb. Growing up, molestation was a thing in my life. I never been raped, but I have been molested. And over time, you do become numb to sexual things, to the point where you don't see the severity of it. You don't see the effects that it's having on your life and on what's going on around you. So when you become older, and for me, you get in college and it manifests, because it's all these different people and they're feeling the same thing, you begin to battle those demons head on, and a lot of time you lose. Then when you come out of it, for me personally, 23 years old pretty much, you come out of it and you're like, okay, like, what have I done to myself? I feel shame. I feel disgusting at times. I had to really pray for redemption and pray for Yahweh to remove that from my life. It did take me having a child for Yahweh to remove the desire for me to even want to have sex. Like, I'm at a point in my life where I do not want to have sex. I do not have that desire in my body anymore, and I think it's my spirit purging that from my body. and it's in a physical way. It's really weird. I don't know how to explain it using words, but I feel like it's being purged from my body. And sometimes we have to go through that, where you have to smother the spirits that has been transferred to you by your sexual partners that you have had. You have to purge those spirits. That's why a lot of women have to be celibate for a while before they can indulge in sex again. For me, I don't want to have sex again until I'm married. If that means if I don't get married, then I'm never going to have sex. And I truly feel that way, because I don't want to have sex. I don't want to feel sex unmarital sex again. Like, I don't know, that's weird, but it's the truth. I don't want to feel unmarital sex anymore. I want to feel marital sex. So it's weird to say. I know, like, marriage is not the end all be all. I know it takes way more than that, but for me, I don't want that. And I was jealous of Iris because she was able to say, I want the whitest dress in the place. I want a white dress. I want, when people see my dress, it's blurring white to them. I was jealous. And I can say that. I can be open about that and say that. But I'm going to go ahead and discuss their intimacy issues, because that was a big part of it. And it made me laugh. He had a problem. When I say he, Kenneth had a problem with Iris because she did not have the intimacy tools that I guess he was wanting from his wife. So to me, that sounds like Kenneth has been with women who are probably romantic in a sense, in terms of intimacy. They were probably able to express that to him in a way that he liked. And so when he became married, he wanted that to be a key factor of his marriage. You can tell by the way that he responded to Iris. So it was funny how he had a problem with Iris because of that in and of itself, because she did not have the intimacy experience that he was looking for. Now for Iris, I feel like, of course, she could have learned those tools. Like, you learn those things, just like the women who he probably had experiences with that he really liked in terms of intimacy. They learned that from something or someone taught them that, and they brought that to him. So he could have taught that to Iris, I feel like, and that's just my opinion. I'm not trying to downplay him. I'm not a man, so I don't know the importance of intimacy in that sense, of romance in that sense, to the point where it will make or break a relationship. I'm not a man, so I don't know that. But I, as a woman, I do understand how, like, if the man that you're with, if he doesn't have if he's not romantic, like, he's just not romantic, and he don't take you on dates, he don't do anything romantic, then you don't want to be with somebody like that for life, like in marriage. And you're maybe fearful that you can't teach that to them, especially if that's something that has not been replicated to you. Like, for instance, his parents. Maybe his parents just had that instant chemistry where they didn't have to learn intimacy. So he expects that from a person that he's meeting for the first time and marrying. And he did not get that satisfaction off bat. And he had a problem with that. And that's just what it is. And I don't judge him for that. I understand that. Like I said, I'm not a man, so I can't really say how I would feel about the situation from a man's standpoint. But like I said, as a woman, I wouldn't want to marry someone who lacked intimacy, because intimacy is very important. And it's not in a sense of sex all the time. Like I said, I don't even want to have sex for a long time, so it's not in the sense of that. But it is in the sense of, like, touching each other's arm, holding hands, laying, watching TV, cuddling, going on walks, and, like, touching each other's arm. Being intimate doesn't necessarily mean sexually. It can mean just, like, physical touch. And if she can't give that because she's awkward, because she's a virgin and never been in a relationship to the extent where she had to play that out, I can understand how that could be uncomfortable for someone who maybe has felt that previously, which I feel like was the case for Kenneth. So I understood Kenneth in that aspect. I want to just discuss, like, the confessions part of it. I spoke on it a little bit in terms of, like, my jealousy when it came to Iris and her, her ability to say, I want a white dress. But I wanted to just double back on the sexual sin aspect of it. Like I said, I did touch on it, but with sexual sin, it's something that I'm really learning. Like I said, spirits get transferred, but it's even deeper than that, because though the spirits are being transferred, those spirits intertwine with the spirits that you already have within you. So now you are attracting these men who are similar. And that is something that I've been dealing with, where you may not even be having sex like me, but you're attracting these men that are similar, in a sense of they see those spirits within you when they have conversations with you. So when they're around you, they're very comfortable because you have those spirits from your last partner lingering in you from the sex that you had with them. And it's weird. And so you come in contact with the same type of men all the time. And you're like, oh, I have a type. No. The spirits that you have that, I don't believe that Yah's people can have spirits internally. I believe that if Yahweh's spirit is living in you, no other spirit can live in you, but you can have spirits attached to you. And I feel like those spirits that's attached to you, if you continue to feed those spirits by having the unprotected sex, or by having sex in general, fornicating, you're going to continue to draw those spirits near you. And that's why it even goes back to just regular life. That's why we be in the same positions that we've been in for years, because you're feeding the spirits. You're feeding the things that's really moving and working in the environment, in your environment. See, we don't understand that everything is spiritual. So if you want to change things about your life, that's why they say you change your habits. You change the spirits that you allow around you. You change the people you allow around you. You change the people you allow inside of you. You change the things that you listen to, the things that you watch, because it's all on a spiritual frequency. So when you change those things, the spirits around you, or the frequency around you, changes, and your environment changes. That's what that means. So when people say that, that's what that means. So when you're having sex with all these different people, you have all these spirits and all these spiritual frequencies going on, or energetic frequencies, as people say, going on around you. You are living in chaos, and that's why you cannot be at peace. You don't have peace in your life, because you are allowing all these different spirits around you or surrounding you. And if you don't have the spirit of Yahweh within you, you're allowing them inside of you. So now they are taking over you, and they are inhabiting your life and your body. And now you're beginning to attack other people. Okay, it gets very deep. And so for me, when I start to really understand that, and I'm not judging nobody, I'm saying this, like I said, from my own life. Okay, basically, like I was at a point where I was having unprotected sex, having sex with people or whatever, because like I said, I became numb to what sex even was. I was numb, because of molestation, because of things I allowed to go on in my own life. I was numb to it. So then when I get older and I'm having sex with these people, and my life is just falling apart, and I'm depressed, and I feel like I'm being spiritually attacked, monetarily, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and like just on every aspect of life, I'm being attacked, and I'm trying to figure out, why am I being attacked? I personally don't think I'm just like the worst person in the world. I can be a better person, of course, like we all can be better people. Why am I being spiritually attacked like this? And I had to realize it was because I was letting all these spirits be around me and surround me, by my sexual partners, or like by the things that I do, or the people I hang out with, the things I listen to. Like, this is the environment that you're creating for yourself. So I had to learn that. And that was a confession for me. Like, I'm confessing to you guys. And I know that I'm not ashamed, because I know that this is something that a lot of us women deal with. Us Hebrew women, us women of all races, really. Like, it's not even just like a Hebrew woman thing. Us women of all races, we allow these men into our bodies, into our spirits, into our environments. As women, we are receivers, so we receive everything that they are letting out. And that's why our lives are in chaos. That's why we keep having the same men over and over. Basically, they just they literally be the same. For me, sometimes they look the same. I'm like, wow, you look a lot like my ex. Like, wow, y'all look alike. And just come to find out, y'all actually act alike as well. So interesting. But yeah, so That's one of my confessions. Now, one thing I had to realize is that when Yahweh forgives you, you have to forgive yourself. And that was something that was hard for me. I do feel like that I have been redeemed from my sexual sin because Yahweh removed the desire from me. If it was something that I was not redeemed from, then I would be continuing to do it, continuing to want to have sex. But the fact that it has been removed from me and removed from just what or who I am and what I desire out of life now, I feel better about myself. I feel better, and I feel like that Yahweh has redeemed me from that. So with that being said, I had to learn how to forgive myself. And that's like the hardest part, and that's something I'm still battling. And I guess that's like the purpose of this podcast, is for other women to know, when you are redeemed from sexual sin, you are made new. Does that mean you're a virgin? No. Does that mean you can get a white dress like Iris? No. Does that mean that pure gem that we give to our husbands when we get married, does that mean you have that? You don't. Let's just be real about it. We don't have that anymore. You have been used, and a lot of us have been abused, and you don't have that pure gem to give to your husband anymore, unfortunately. But what you do have is redemption. You have a testimony. You have a story. You can tell your children. You can break it down. Like I said earlier, I was that child where it wasn't really made clear to me, made known to me. So it was hard for me to really understand, basically, not to have sex, because it wasn't really made known to me. Now, as a woman, I have that testimony. I can tell women and children it's the 4th of July or the 5th of July, so they're still popping firecrackers. So forgive that. But I can tell women and I can tell children why you should not have sex on a spiritual level, on a level of understanding that could really penetrate and really change the trajectory of a lot of these women's lives. So many women now are, sex trafficked. They're beat, bruised. They fornicate just for fun. Some women just have sex for free. And let's be real, that's a lot of us. We just have sex for free. Some women get paid for it. Some women have sex for free. But we're still just giving it away. We don't have it anymore to give to your husband. So now, how do you live your life, basically? How do you live in forgiveness now that you've done all that you've done? For me, what helps me is knowing that at the end of the day, I am more than my past. And I think that's hard for a lot of us to understand. We are more than our past. We are more than the decisions that we made. What determines who we are is the decisions that we continue to make. If you continue to live in sexual sin, then that is you. That becomes you. When you decide to change who you are, to change, not necessarily change who you are, but to accept Yahweh's redemption and to accept his ability, to accept him giving you the ability to turn away from your sin, then that's when you become this gift that you want to give to your husband when that day comes. You become that gift because now you have the tools to have self-control and say, I don't want to fornicate anymore. So now when your husband meet you, you can tell him your story and tell him where you came from and tell him, I've been celibate waiting for you because I've learned that this, that, and the third. And so now I'm here and I can say, I'm your wife and I waited for you for this amount of time and this is where I came from and this is where I am. Your husband, the one that Yahweh has for you, he will see that as a gift. But as women, we have to be patient. We are lonely beings. We are meant to complement the man, period. I know a lot of us, we don't want to believe that we're feminists. We want to believe this, that, and the third. I'm not a feminist personally. I believe that I was sent here to complement a man. Who that man is, I don't know. Have I met that man? I don't know. All I know is that was what Yahweh has put me here to do, is to complement a man, to have his children, to raise his children, to complement him, to help him with whatever Yah has for his life. I know that that's my purpose. I know that Yah has a purpose for me too, while doing what I'm supposed to be doing for him. I know I can do what I'm supposed to do for myself as well, and to teach my children, to be an example for my children. So I understand that. But that is our ultimate, purpose. So I wanted to talk about this Married at First Sight season 9. I want to talk about Iris and Kenneth. And I'm not going to give a spoiler alert. I mean, a spoiler alert. Yeah, spoiler alert. That's right. I'm not going to give a spoiler alert. I want y'all to watch it and just, let me know how y'all feel. I'm getting the Instagram up. I don't know if y'all tried to go to Diary of a Hebrew Girl on Instagram. It's up. It just doesn't have anything on it. So I'm working on that, getting everything's together with the social media aspect. So I don't have all of that done yet, but I'm working on it. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. If you heard my first one and you liked it, thanks so much for the people who gave me feedback on that. I did want to discuss one thing though. When I said I was a single mother in the last podcast, I did upset the father of my child. Shout out. I'm glad you're listening. And I did want to just address what I meant by single mother. Single mother means a mother who is